Right now, in 2025, one of the biggest artists on the planet is actively destroying her own legacy, and her fans are furious. We are talking about Beyoncé. We are talking about Parkwood Entertainment. We are talking about a strategy so bizarre, so counterproductive, so deeply frustrating to the very people who built her empire that even her most loyal fans are publicly calling her out. The Beyoncé Bowl happened. It was incredible. People wanted to celebrate it. They wanted to clip it, share it, repost it, and Parkwood sent DMCA takedowns to every single one of them. Her own fans, the people who show up every single time, silenced by her own team. And this is not a small thing. This is a pattern. A decade-long pattern of inaccessibility that is genuinely costing her numbers, streams, cultural dominance, and the very legacy she is trying so hard to protect. Before we go any further, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because the Beyhive is going to have a lot of feelings about this one, and this conversation absolutely needs to be heard. My name is Rob Mari, and we need to talk about this today. Let me set the scene for you, because you need to understand the full picture before we dive deep. Beyoncé is one of the greatest performers of her generation, arguably of all time. That is not a debate. That is not something that is up for discussion. When that woman steps on a stage, when she commands a room, when she puts together a full concert experience, there's almost nobody on earth who can touch her. The Renaissance World Tour, Cowboy Carter, the Beyoncé Bowl on Netflix. These are cultural moments. These are the kinds of things that people talk about for decades. And that is exactly why what is happening right now is so maddening. Because Beyoncé and Parkwood Entertainment are not letting people talk about it. They are not letting people share it. They are actively shutting it down. The Beyoncé Bowl aired on Netflix. It was stunning. People lost their minds watching it. Fans immediately went to work. They clipped their favorite moments. They edited performances together. They posted them across YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, because that is what fans do. That is how love for an artist gets spread in 2025. And Parkwood came in like a wrecking ball. DMCA takedowns, mass removal notices, fan accounts silenced, content wiped. And the question everybody is asking right now is, why? Why would you do that to the people who are promoting you for free? Why would you silence the very community that is screaming your name from the rooftops? And here's where things get really interesting, because this is not new. This is not some random decision they made last week. This follows a pattern that has been building since at least 2016. For those who don't know, Lemonade dropped in 2016. It was a masterpiece. Culturally, sonically, visually, it was a seismic event in music history. And yet, when the list of highest selling albums of 2016 came out, Lemonade barely cracked the top 10. In the first week, it was top 3, but then something happened. Parkwood delayed releasing it on Spotify, delayed it on Apple Music, and by the time it became widely available to the mainstream streaming audience, Rihanna had already pulled ahead. Ariana had already pulled ahead. Albums that were objectively below Lemonade in critical acclaim overtook it in streams and long-term chart dominance. Because accessibility matters. Because when people can't access your art, they move on. And that was nearly 10 years ago. The same mistake, the same strategy, the same result. And yet here we are in 2025, having the exact same conversation. As Beyoncé fans, outside of the awards, outside of the critical acclaim, outside of the cultural reverence, the streaming numbers, the social media impact, the viral moments, these are the metrics that define dominance in the modern era. And Parkwood is actively working against all of them. This record of inaccessibility is one of the most damaging decisions being made in music right now because it is not protecting the art. It is suffocating it. And the fans have had enough. And now where things really do get big is when you look at exactly what is happening with these DMCA takedowns and what they actually communicate to the fan base. Think about it this way. A fan sits down, watches the Beyoncé Bowl on Netflix, is absolutely blown away by a specific performance. Maybe it's the staging. Maybe it's a particular outfit change. Maybe it's a moment where Beyoncé hits a note and the entire crowd loses their minds. That fan wants to share that feeling. They clip it, they post it, they write a caption like, "Nobody does it like her." And within hours, gone, deleted, DMCA notice, as if they committed a crime for loving an artist. And the most viral response to this entire situation said it better than I ever could. The tweet that spread everywhere said this: "Her worst habit this past decade is making the art we love so inaccessible and treating it as a memory to be cherished." A memory to be cherished. Let that sit for a second. That is what the strategy is. Make people experience something extraordinary, then lock it away. Pull it back. Restrict access so that it becomes this almost mythological thing that you can only half remember. And I think Parkwood genuinely believes that creates mystique. I think they believe that scarcity equals value. That if you can't access it freely, you'll pay more to see it live. You'll buy the official release. You'll subscribe to whatever platform they eventually license it to. But here is what they are fundamentally misunderstanding. In 2025, mystique doesn't work the way it used to. In 1995, maybe. In 2005, possibly. But we are living in the attention economy now. And in the attention economy, visibility is oxygen. If people can't see your content, the algorithm doesn't see it either. And if the algorithm doesn't see it, you disappear. Not overnight, but slowly, steadily, quietly. And now where things get even more complicated is when you look at the live performance archive situation, or rather, the complete lack of one. Beyoncé has been performing for over 2 decades. She has toured at a level that very few artists in history have ever matched. Destiny's Child era, the Dangerously in Love era, the I Am World Tour, the Mrs. Carter Show, the Formation World Tour, the Renaissance World Tour. These are not just concerts. These are historically significant cultural events. And where can you watch them right now? Right now in 2025, you can watch the Beyoncé Experience. From 2007, that is the one officially released concert film that fans can actually stream freely. One concert film from nearly 20 years ago. And everything after that, either locked behind specific platforms with expiring licenses, or simply nowhere to be found. We do not have the Formation World Tour available on any major streaming platform. We do not have the Mrs. Carter Show on YouTube. We do not have the Renaissance World Tour fully accessible and freely streamable. And I mean, when you just think about what that means for the cultural footprint of this artist, it is staggering. Because consider what we can watch right now from other artists in her peer group. Beyoncé's contemporaries, the artists she competed with for chart positions and Grammys and cultural dominance. Their concert films are out there. Their iconic performances are on YouTube. Their fans are remixing, celebrating, sharing, and keeping those legacies alive in real time. And Beyoncé's catalog gets locked away, gets forgotten, gets reduced to a memory to be cherished. And here's where we need to have the real conversation, the one that fans are dancing around, but nobody wants to say directly. This strategy is hurting her numbers, not in some theoretical future way. Right now, measurably, Renaissance came out in 2022. It was revolutionary. The production was genuinely ahead of its time. There were singles on that album that should have been massive. I mean, truly massive. The kind of songs that dominate summer playlists for 3 years straight. And they didn't. Not because the songs weren't good enough, but because the rollout, the accessibility, the streaming strategy strangled the momentum before it could build. She won Album of the Year at the Grammys for it, which is incredible, which is well-deserved. But awards and commercial dominance are 2 very different conversations. And the Grammys are, honestly, the Grammys are starting to feel like yesterday's currency. The real measure of an artist in this era is TikTok penetration, streaming hours, viral moments, content that people are actively sharing and remixing and dancing to. That is where cultural power lives in 2025. And Parkwood is systematically blocking all of it. Now, let's talk about Cowboy Carter, because Cowboy Carter deserves its own conversation. When that album dropped, the initial reaction was extraordinary. the cultural conversation around Black artists and country music, the statement it was making about genre and ownership and history. Texas Hold M went to #1, which was the first time a Black woman had a #1 on the country charts. That is a genuinely historic moment. That is a kind of achievement that should have launched this album into a completely different stratosphere. And it did for about 2 weeks. And then the momentum just stalled because the music videos weren't released, because the streaming strategy restricted who could access what and when, because Parkwood locked down every fan-made edit and clip and celebration of the music. And I mean, when you just look at the potential that was sitting right there on that album, there were at least 5 or 6 songs on Cowboy Carter that could have been absolute cultural phenomena, songs that deserved to be in playlists for years, songs that deserved to be soundtracking every barbecue, every road trip, every summer moment. And instead, they became album cuts that casual listeners never discovered, because casual listeners don't buy albums. They discover songs through the algorithm, through friend recommendations, through viral clips on social media. And Parkwood cut off every single one of those discovery pathways. And now where things get really important is the music video situation, because this one genuinely makes no sense. At any level, we know that Beyoncé filmed videos for Renaissance, multiple videos, a whole catalog of visuals. Fans knew it, the industry knew it, and then nothing. They were never released. And when fans pushed back on this, when they expressed frustration and confusion, the response from the Beyoncé camp was essentially, you are the visual, you are the music video. Your experience is the visual. And I have to be honest with you, that is one of the most frustrating non-answers I have ever heard from any major artist team, ever, because it sounds philosophical and artistic and deep. But what it actually is a deflection. It is a way of dressing up a creative or business decision as a spiritual offering to fans. And the fans are not buying it. I am not buying it. You are the visual does not let me watch a beautifully shot, conceptually rich music video for songs that deserve that treatment. You are the visual does not recreate the experience of watching something like Lemonade, or Formation, or the visual album of Beyoncé in 2013. Those were masterclasses in visual storytelling. Those were the things that set her apart. That proved she wasn't just a pop star, but a genuine auteur. And then that stopped, and her team told fans to be grateful for what they received. Let's connect some dots here, because I want to make sure we are seeing the full picture of what the strategy actually looks like over time. In 2016, Lemonade is withheld from streaming platforms. It loses long-term streaming dominance to albums it should have dominated. In 2018 and 2019, Homecoming drops on Netflix, which is brilliant, but it disappears from cultural conversation quickly because Netflix doesn't carry the same algorithmic amplification as YouTube. People can't clip it freely. People can't share moments on TikTok in a way that they could if it were on a platform with more content freedom. In 2022, Renaissance drops with an inaccessibility strategy. Videos are filmed and withheld. Streaming is managed in a way that limits discovery. In 2024, Cowboy Carter arrives with a groundbreaking cultural premise and fails to fully capitalize on that premise because of the same restrictive playbook. In early 2025, the Beyoncé Bowl airs, is celebrated, and Parkwood begins mass DMCA takedowns of fan content celebrating it. Do you see the pattern? Do you see how consistent this is? This is not a one-time mistake. This is not a bad call in a single campaign. This is a philosophy, a deeply held, decade-long philosophy that says, we control the art, we control the access, we control the narrative. And while I understand the instinct, while I understand the desire to protect creative vision and business interests, the execution is catastrophically harming the very legacy it is trying to protect. And now I want to talk about something that people are not discussing enough, the cost of living factor. Because this is 2025, and things are expensive. Housing is expensive. Food is expensive. Concert tickets are expensive. Streaming subscriptions are expensive. And one of the few places where fans of any income level can engage with an artist they love Is free content on social media, a clip on YouTube, a performance edit on TikTok, a fan-made compilation on Instagram. These are not just entertainment. For a lot of fans, these are the primary way they connect with the art, because they cannot afford a $400 ticket to a Renaissance tour show, because they do not have a Netflix subscription, because they are living in a cost of living crisis that is squeezing every discretionary dollar. And when Parkwood sends DMCA notices to a fan who clipped 30 seconds of the Beyoncé bowl because they want to share that joy with their followers, what they are really saying is, if you can't pay, you don't deserve to celebrate. And that feels deeply wrong. It feels wrong for an artist who has built so much of her identity around being for the culture, around being for Black women, around being for the people who show up for her every single time. And the people calling this out are not haters. They are not critics looking for a take. They are the fans, the ones who bought every album, who streamed every song, who traveled to see the tours, who defended her name in every comment section. And their frustration is completely valid. Now, let's address the business side of this, because there's a business argument being made here by Parkwood, and I want to engage with it fairly before I explain why I think it still fails. The argument is this: if we control the content, if we restrict what is available freely, then we can license it exclusively to platforms like Netflix. We can sell it. We can monetize it at a premium, and that generates more revenue per view than a free YouTube clip. And on paper, that makes sense. It really does. If someone will pay you $20 million for exclusive rights to a concert film, that is better than the ad revenue from fan clips on YouTube. I understand the math, but here's what that math does not account for. It does not account for the compound effect of lost discovery. Every fan clip that does not exist is a potential new fan who never discovers the artist, is a casual listener who never becomes a dedicated fan, is a young kid in 2025 who never experiences that moment of, wait, who is this? This is incredible. I need to know more. That discovery moment. That is how artists build multi-generational legacies, not through exclusivity, not through scarcity, through presence, through ubiquity, through being everywhere all the time. Michael Jackson's catalog is everywhere. Prince, despite his own complicated history with streaming, saw a massive surge in discovery after his passing precisely because suddenly everything was everywhere. The Beatles are on every platform, and young people are discovering them every single day because the content is accessible, because someone can find a clip and fall in love. Beyoncé is one of the greatest artists of her generation, but if her performances are locked away, if her visuals are suppressed, if her fans cannot freely celebrate and share her work, the next generation of fans will not discover her the way she deserves to be discovered. And that is a legacy problem, not just a streaming problem. And let me bring up the Sir Carter situation, the alcohol line, because this feeds into a larger pattern of strategic miscalculation. Beyoncé and Jay-Z launched Sir Davis, a premium whiskey brand, positioned as a luxury product. And here's a context that makes this decision deeply questionable. Gen Z is not drinking. This is not opinion. This is data. Studies consistently show that Gen Z drinks significantly less alcohol than any generation before them. The alcohol industry as a whole is contracting. Craft spirits and premium whiskey labels are facing declining sales. The market is shrinking. And right in the middle of this moment, Parkwood and the Carter camp decide to launch a premium alcohol brand, targeting an audience that is increasingly sober in a market that is demonstrably declining. This is not an isolated bad call. This connects to the same pattern we have been discussing all video long. A team that is making decisions based on who Beyoncé's audience was, rather than who it is right now, and who it will be in 5 years. The people who are going to carry her legacy forward, the Gen Z fan, the young Black woman discovering her catalog for the first time, the kid who sees a viral clip and becomes a standard for life. Those people need accessible content. They need free music videos. They need shareable performance clips. They do not need a premium whiskey bottle. And the disconnect between those two things is the heart of everything that fans are frustrated about. And now where things get really deep is when you start asking why. Why is this a strategy? Why does Parkwood operate this way? And I think when you trace this back, when you really trace it back to its roots, you can see that this is rooted in a very specific artistic vision. Beyoncé does not want to be casual. She does not want to be an artist you throw on in the background. She wants every encounter with her art to be an event, a moment, something you feel, something you remember. And in pursuit of that vision, the team has created an architecture of scarcity that is meant to make every release feel seismic, every concert feel exclusive, every visual feel rare and precious. And I respect that vision. I actually deeply respect it. But the execution has become something that works against the art rather than for it. Because in trying to make every moment special, they have made most moments inaccessible. And inaccessible is not special. Inaccessible is just absent. There's a difference between being rare and being invisible. Beyoncé's team has confused the two, and the fans are paying the price. Let's talk about the comment that really went viral in this conversation. The one that encapsulated what thousands of fans were feeling. Maybe I should gatekeep my money. For words. And they hit different because they come from a place of genuine love turned into genuine frustration. This is not a hater saying that. This is a fan. A dedicated, passionate, loyal fan who has spent money on albums, tours, merchandise, streaming subscriptions, who has shown up every single time, and who is now saying, if you are going to make your art a memory to be cherished rather than a celebration to be shared, then maybe the financial relationship needs to be reconsidered too. And when fans get to that point, that is a serious signal. That is not a tweet storm that blows over in a week. That is an erosion of trust. And trust, once eroded in a fan base, is extraordinarily difficult to rebuild. Look at what happened when Taylor Swift had her own conflicts with her fan base. When she was silent during Black Lives Matter. When the Scooter Braun situation divided people. The trust took years to rebuild. And she rebuilt it by being more transparent, more accessible, more willing to let fans in. There's a lesson there. There's a roadmap sitting right there. And right now, Parkwood seems to be looking the other way. And I want to address something directly, because I can already hear the response from a certain section of the Beyhive. She doesn't need your streams. She's already the greatest. Awards prove her quality. And to that I say, I agree that she is one of the greatest. That is the entire foundation of why this conversation matters. If I did not believe in her art, if I did not think she deserved a massive, generationally significant streaming presence, I would not be frustrated by the strategy that is preventing that. The critique comes from love. The frustration comes from seeing an artist of this magnitude being held back, not by critics, not by competitors, by her own team, by her own decisions. And the "she doesn't need streams" argument completely misses the point. It is not about what she needs. It is about what her legacy deserves. It is about what future fans deserve. It is about what the culture deserves from one of its greatest artists. Numbers matter because numbers tell the story of impact. And when the numbers are artificially suppressed by inaccessibility, the story of impact becomes incomplete. And that is a problem. Now, let me bring this all together, because I want to be clear about what the full picture looks like. We have a decade-long strategy of inaccessibility. We have DMCA takedown silencing fan celebration. We have withheld music videos for major albums. We have a live performance archive that is essentially non-existent for free streaming. We have streaming rollouts that consistently undercut momentum. We have business ventures that misread the current cultural moment. And we have a fan base that is vocal, frustrated, and increasingly willing to say publicly, something is wrong here. This is not a coincidence. This is a coherent, intentional approach. And the cumulative effect of that approach over the past decade has made Beyoncé simultaneously one of the most critically revered and commercially underperforming major artists of her generation. Let that sink in. The critical reverence is there. The Grammy shelf is full. The cultural acknowledgement is undeniable. But commercial dominance, streaming dominance, social media omnipresence, the kind of digital footprint that ensures your legacy is discoverable and celebrated by every generation that comes after you, that is being actively undermined every single day. And now we have to talk about what happens next. Because this conversation is not going away. The DMCA takedowns for the Beyoncé Bowl have already generated significant backlash. And the way these things work in the social media era, the backlash does not just disappear. It compounds. Every new restrictive decision from Parkwood will be measured against this moment. Every new album rollout will be watched through the lens of what we now know about the strategy. And the scrutiny is going to be louder, more persistent, more organized. What we're going to see is a growing movement within the Beyhive itself that demands accountability, not from critics, not from the industry, from the fan base, the people who have always been the first line of defense, the people who built the cultural mythology around this artist. And when that community starts asking hard questions publicly, that is a seismic shift. That is a moment that changes a relationship between an artist and their audience. The larger pattern here is one we have seen before. Artists who confuse mystique with absence, who confuse exclusivity with irrelevance, who let business strategy override the fundamental relationship with the people who love the art. And the artists who have navigated this moment successfully have done it by opening the doors, not closing them further. The competitive landscape is also shifting in a way that makes this even more urgent. The artists who are dominating culturally right now are the ones who are everywhere, constantly, relentlessly accessible. Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, Kendrick Lamar, especially after last year. These artists understand that in 2025, presence is power. That fan content is free marketing. That a viral clip is worth more than any promotional budget. And while they're flooding the algorithm with content, Parkwood is sending cease and desist letters to fans who love Beyoncé enough to spend their free time celebrating her. The cultural significance of this moment extends beyond just one artist. Because Beyoncé is not just a pop star. She is a symbol. She represents something specific about Black artistic excellence, about Black women claiming their space at the highest levels of culture. And when the artist who embodies it is seen as pulling back from her own community, as making her art a privilege rather than a shared experience, that conversation gets complicated in ways that go far beyond streaming numbers. The fans who are speaking out deserve to be heard, not dismissed, not told their critique is disloyal. Because loyalty that cannot speak truth is not loyalty. It is compliance. And the best thing that could happen for Beyoncé's long-term legacy is for her team to hear this feedback, to genuinely hear it, to understand that the greatest threat to a great artist's legacy is not the critics. It is not the competition. It is inaccessibility. It is a slow accumulation of moments where people who wanted to celebrate you were told they couldn't. The path forward is clear. Release the Renaissance visuals. Open the performance archive. Let fans clip and share concert footage. Create an official YouTube presence that rivals any artist in the game. Stop treating the art like a museum exhibit that can only be viewed under controlled conditions. And watch what happens when you trust the people who love you enough to amplify you. Watch the streams climb. Watch the discovery surge. Watch a new generation fall in love with a catalog that absolutely deserves their attention. That is the future this artist deserves. And the only thing standing between Beyoncé and that future is the strategy that is currently suffocating it. And so now, with all of that said, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the DMCA takedowns of Beyoncé Bowl content? Do you think Parkwood will ever change this strategy? Or is this just how they operate permanently? Do you think the inaccessibility has genuinely hurt Beyoncé's streaming numbers and cultural footprint? Where do you think Renaissance and Cowboy Carter would have charted with a different rollout strategy? And most importantly, do you think the fans speaking out right now are being disloyal? Or are they doing exactly what fans who truly love an artist should do? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. This is one of those conversations where I genuinely want to hear from all sides. From the fans who agree, from the fans who disagree, from the people who think I am completely wrong, and from the people who have been saying this for years and are glad somebody is finally putting it all in one place. If you made it to this point in the video, you already know what to do. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. It helps me out more than you know, and it helps this conversation reach the people who need to hear it. I cannot thank you enough for watching. Seriously, your support means everything. But in the meantime, if you want to see how another legendary artist is navigating their own legacy crisis in real time, and what happens when people around a cultural icon start making decisions that the culture itself rejects, well, you are not going to want to miss this one. Check out the suggested video. I will catch you there.